My mercy is your mercy. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Okay? Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Sri Sri Radha Madhava ki, Sri Sri Radha Giridhari ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Purivraj Gajaja Shodhara Shri Maharaj Divine Grace Abai Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Gajaja Shodhara Shri Maharaj Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samvira Bhakti ki Jai. Go by Manandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, all glories. Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. We are 5 verses from hell. 5 verses till we get to the hellish planets. So, something to think about. Text 10 this morning, chapter 25, the glories of Lord Ananta. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning's verse will be first recited by Dravida Prabhu to set the melody. Okay, let me do that first. So word for word, Murtim, different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're going to do each word. Murtim, Naha, Purukripaya, Babhara, Sattvam, Shumshuddham, Sarasat, Idam, Vibhati Tatra, Yalilam, Mrigapatir, Adade, Anavayam, Adatum, Swajana, Manamsi, Udara, Viryaha, Murtim Napurukipaya Babara Sattvam, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Samsudam Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navayam, Adatum Swajana Manangsyudara Viryaha, Adatum Swajana Mamam Sudara Vira, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Samsudam Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Adatum Swajana Manangsyudara Viryaha, Adatum Swajana Manasam Sudara Vira, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Adatum Swajana Manangsyudara Viryaha, Adatum Swajana Mamam Sudara Vira, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Adatum Swajana Manasa Yudara Viraha, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattvam, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Adhatum Swajana Mamam Sudara Vira, Murtim Babara Sattvam, Samshuddham Sadasadidam Vibhati Tatra, Yalila Mrigapatirada De Navadyam, Adhatum Swajana Mamam Sudara Vira, Murtim Napuru Kripaya Babara Sattva, samshudam yadasaridam vibhati tatra. Yalila mirga patiradade navadyam adatum swajanam manasyudharavira. Do you like the chant? Mutyam napuru kipaya babhara sattvam samshudam yadasaridam vibhati tatra. Yalila mirga patiradate navadyam adatum swajana manasyudharavira. Murtyam napuro kripaya babhara sattvam samshudham sarasaridam vibhati tatra. Yalila mirga patiradate navadyam adatum swajana manasyudharavira. Word for word. Murtyam, different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naha, unto us. Puru kripaya, because of great mercy. Babhara, exhibited. Sattvam, existence. Samshudham, completely transcendental. Sarasaridam, this material manifestation of cause and effect. Vibhati, shines. Tatra, in whom. Yat lilam, the pastimes of whom. Mrigapatihi, the master of all living beings, who is exactly like a lion, the master of all animals, other animals, Adade, taught. Anavadyam, without material contamination. Adatum, to conquer. Swajana mamamsi, the minds of his devotees. Udaraviraha, who is most liberal and powerful. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. This manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy toward his devotees, he exhibits various forms which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal and he possesses all mystic power. To conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. Please repeat. This manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy toward his devotees, he exhibits various forms which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal, and he possesses all mystic power. To conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has translated this verse as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes. It is by his will that the gross and subtle ingredients interact. He appears in various incarnations just to please the hearts of his pure devotees. For example, the Supreme Lord appeared in the transcendental incarnation of Lord Varaha just to please his devotees by lifting the planet Earth from the Garbhodak ocean. Om Agyantimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Ninata Ismai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchika Patarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So by the blessings of the devotees, I'll try to say something. worthy of being said. We can all say something. It's a question of whether it's worthy of being said. And if, like they say, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything. So I only give class 1 day a week. So murtim is an important word. Different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a chapter in the Bhagavad Gita. Ready for your first question of the day? Are you ready? I'm going to look at you. You're going to be the first one who's given a chance to answer this question. Okay? There's one of the chapters in Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna begins the chapter, pretty much the very beginning, asking Krishna, who's better, those who follow the path of impersonalism, believing that ultimately the ultimate reality is something impersonal, or those who worship his transcendental personal form. Which chapter is that for an extra helping of halava at breakfast? Do you know? Do you want to guess? It's between 11 and 13. The 12th chapter, right? He asked that question. And Krishna's answer is very direct. Those who worship my transcendental form are the best. Like that. In fact, the impersonal path is very, very difficult. What is that? Yeah. No, the impersonal path is very, very difficult. It's struggle. Klesha, that's the word I'm thinking. Klesha, it's very, very struggle. It's a struggle. It's very difficult because it's unnatural to try to squeeze, to try to obliterate. It's actually called spiritual suicide. When someone commits suicide, they want to cease to exist, right? Yeah. You ever drive over the Coronado Bridge? You see those signs there? Don't jump. Call this number, right? And that's what it says. It says, please reconsider. Don't jump. There's a number here to call first, like that. So it's important because it's sometimes people think I'll end all my problems by killing myself. It's very selfish on one hand because all the misery you cause, all the people you left behind, they gotta figure out why in the world would that person commit suicide. I thought they were very happy. And the parents are distraught. Yeah, it's very selfish. And it's interesting too, I read an article once, most people who try to commit suicide goof it. And then they spend the rest of their life with some horrible hole in their head or this or that, or completely crippled, they jumped and this, they actually didn't, they goofed it. And you can get arrested. It's illegal to commit suicide. And if you kill yourself and you're a Brahmin, you get the karma for killing a Brahmin. Not that I'm thinking the Psalm's pretty good here, you don't have to kill yourself. But, it's ascribed there that you not only the sin of killing yourself, but if you kill yourself and you're a Vaishnava or Brahmin, you get the karma for that. And plus our body belongs to the Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that to Sanatana Goswami when he was contemplating killing himself, throwing himself under the cart of the wheel of the Rath Yatra cart. He said, you can't do that. Your body belongs to me. I have so many plans for you. What are you talking about? What are you doing? So, back to the word murtim. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the Vaishnava path, which unfortunately in the age of Kali is very much covered. The idea that the murti is completely transcendental, and that's brought up here in some other words in the samshuddham, completely transcendental. The Lord's existence, His form is completely transcendental. It's not a form of this material world. Like that. What Krishna says, I appear here, I'm forgetting the Sanskrit, but by my own Atma Mayaya. How does that verse begin? Atma Mayana. I appear in my original transcendental form. Ajopi San. Avyatma. Ajo, although I'm unborn, I appear, I still appear in my original transcendental form. It's not a form of this material world. It's completely transcendental. In fact, it's described here, the first line of the translation is, the manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not a manifestation of this material world. That's what the impersonalists say. Yes, Krishna appeared, wonderful pastimes, but it's all Maya. The Prabhupada says that's why they call them Maya-vadis. They only see matter, so they're thinking all form is a manifestation of matter, but Krishna is saying here in so many places, no, that's backwards. The manifestations of this material world exist as just one of the many energies of Krishna. It's an insignificant energy on top of that. So, in the verse here, so that as far as Murtim, we accept that the Absolute Truth has form, transcendental form. And those transcendental forms the Lord exhibits in this material world, Yoga Aishwaram, his mystic power, right? How is it that Krishna is personally present here as Sri Sri Radha Giridhari? That's mystical, isn't it? It's mystical. Because Krishna, for him, there's no difference between matter and spirit. It's interchangeable. For us, it's not so. And there's so many, actually everything is a manifestation of his mystic powers, like that. It's mystical for us. For him, it's just, right? He is such a sankalpa, right? He just thinks of something and it becomes a reality, like that. There's no difficulty for Krishna. Jnana bala kriya cha. By his energies, everything is just going on. He just has to think about it. You know, sometimes in the material world, there are very powerful people. They have to pick up the phone, make a few calls. Excuse me, you don't pick up the phone, you grab your cell phone, right? You don't pick up your phone anymore, I guess. Well, I guess you pick up your phone and you make a call and things get done, right? They just, a few calls, this, that, and then all the people that are employed by this person, they get it all done. And he doesn't have to think about it anymore, and it's done very expertly because he was smart enough to hire smart people, like that. So, but Krishna doesn't have to pick up the phone. He just has to think of it, and it's done. Okay? And so Krishna's got a lot of free time on his hands because he's not like Atlas. In that purport in the Bhagavad Gita, he's not like Atlas. You know what Atlas is? It's Greek or Roman? Greek? One of those. You know. European, Mediterranean, European gods. And he's got this globe. You see sometimes there's, you know, statues and sculptures of Atlas or pictures, and he's got the whole globe on his shoulders. He's struggling with it. You know, the burden of the earth. That's Atlas. I don't know the story. I guess you can look it up for something like that. But the point is, Krishna's not like that. He's not struggling. In fact, this is the chapter, The Glories of Lord Ananta. And it's already been described how millions and millions of universes are just resting upon his heads very easily. And Ananta,
they're so small, they didn't even realize where they are.
they're just kind of like, it's like dandruff for us, like that. So he has universes on his head, we have dandruff. That's the difference between us and God. Okay? So you want to know what the difference between us and God is we have dandruff on our head, and he has millions and millions of universes. So there's a big difference. We shouldn't be so proud. Atlas, but Krishna's not struggling at all. There's no struggle whatsoever. So, and Krishna says, I really have nothing to do, but still I'm engaged in so many activities, and it's described here. Why is he engaged in all these different activities there in the spiritual world? And of course, it's referring to here in the material world. The Lord appears in this material world, exhibits his various forms to show causeless mercy to his devotees. And later on it says to conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts. That's why Krishna comes in his many different pastimes. Of course, there's many varieties of devotees. In the translation by Srila Jiva Goswami, says, just to please the hearts of his pure devotees. So when Krishna appears in this material world, he says in Bhagavad Gita, what is that verse? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. that he comes over and over and over again for three principal purposes. The first one is paritarnaya sadhunam. What does that mean? Okay, you're striking out. You have to study more, okay? Sadhu, what's a sadhu? Saint. So paritarnaya sadhunam, to deliver the devotees, to deliver the saints. Vanashaya shaduskritam. What's a duskritina? Demon. Materialist. Someone who's just causing all kinds of problems from the self and everyone else. That's a good definition of a demon. And what does Krishna do for them? Yeah, sometimes Krishna is known as, in these translations of these different literatures you're doing, he's known as a demon smasher. That's the translation. Demon smasher. It's like an appliance or something, a demon smasher. So Krishna just smashes demons for their own good. And then the third reason, Dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. What's the last reason? Dharma samstapanataya. To establish Dharma, to show what is by his words. Just like Krishna is known, speaking the Bhagavad Gita, you know one of the names for speaking the Bhagavad Gita is? Dharmasetu. Prabhupada said that's Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita, therefore he's known as Dharmasetu. Like that. He's establishing what is what by speaking the Bhagavad Gita. What's the absolute truth? And Krishna's asking, Arjuna's asking all the questions. It was a setup. It was a setup. Arjuna was covered in a particular way and inspired to ask all the questions about Dharma, and Krishna answered them very succinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. So books like Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, all these literatures, and his pastimes themselves set the standard for what is Dharma. And Dharma, you could say, is, the proper path, the path of Dharma. To make sure we're on the proper path. So that's why Krishna comes, these three different reasons. But Prabhupada would say many times in commenting on this verse that Krishna does not have to come to this material world to kill the demons. Durga can take care of that, right? How many arms does she have? How many weapons does she have? Durga. Any Durga worshippers out there? Yeah. 10. Okay. 10, because there's 10 directions. There's 10 directions, and she's getting you from all of them, okay? There's no escape. We think, I'll go that way. Maya's there. Durga's there. I'll go that way. No. 10 weapons, 10 arms, 10 directions. Durga, which means can't go. Like a prison house. You can't get out. She's got you. All 10 directions. So what do? Surrender. Hare Krishna. That's her purpose, is to make us surrender. She puts the pressure on, right? Feel the pressure. All 10 directions. And also, there's some pictures she's killing a demon, right? Smacking a demon, like cutting off a head or something like that. I mean, she's on a mission, okay? And she's got her job, and it's ultimately to turn every single conditioned soul under her care towards Krishna. So an intelligent person will understand, okay, it's not going to work. It's a fruitless, useless endeavor to try to be happy in this material world or get out of this suffering condition, because she's there, all 10 directions. Weapons. What do weapons usually do? Make you feel good or bad? Bad, right? Jabbing, poking, slicing, crunching, right? She's got all those different weapons. And she's good at what she does. Why is that? Because chayeva yasya my brain's not working. The chayeva, she's like a shadow. She's the shadow of Vishnu. So Vishnu moves like this, Durga moves like this. Exactly. Just like your shadow doesn't go the opposite direction, it follows exactly. So her movements are exactly according to the will of the Lord. Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So, very, very powerful. So Krishna Prabhupada said, well, Maya could just wipe out all the demons. Doing it every day, right? So many wars and this and that and natural disturbances and hurricanes and fires and climate change, everything. The squeeze is on. And just the time factor itself. The time factor guarantees everyone, or as they say, no one's getting out of here alive, right? That's the time factor. So why does Krishna have to come to kill the demons? He happens to be here, so he's killing some demons, you know. So his real reason for coming, and even it says here, paritranaya sadhunam. Sometimes Prabhupada said devotees are already delivered. So he's coming for the pleasure of the devotees, to enliven them. It says, conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts. That's why Krishna comes to this material world. Prabhupada once said to give us something to talk about. Krishna's pastimes.
Grahaya bhaktanam manasam dehamatitaha padate tadashi kriva yashutva tatparo bhaved. Out of mercy for my devotees, I come in my original human form and enact pastimes which, having heard, one becomes more dedicated to me. It's very near the end of the Rasa Dance chapter.
There we go. So that's why Krishna comes. I remember many years ago I was in Mayapur and Janani Vas was giving evening class in Bhagavad Gita, and the first thing he said, you know, Krishna arranged the whole battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now what does that mean? That means all that political intrigue. It means bringing together thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, soldiers and their assistants and animals, and that huge, huge endeavor there on the plains of Kurukshetra. He said it was just so he could spend some time with Arjuna. He just wanted to spend some time with Arjuna. That was the real purpose. Now other purposes are accomplished, right? To establish Maharaj Yudhisthira on the throne and to annihilate all of those bellicose military forces, but what was the most important thing for Krishna was to spend some time with Arjuna.
Not just to spend some time, to spend some quality time.
Quality time. So that's Krishna, because for him, he's just, you know, that's what he does. Like I said, he really has nothing to do except spend time with his devotees and please his devotees. That's what Krishna's doing. You know, so the example, quality time. You know, people try to make a lot of money and so on, so they can eventually just spend some time with their friends and family. Something like retirement, or just, you know, be able to do that instead of you're gone all the time. Prabhupada. Lecture recently, I heard he said that there's a story, and he said must be true. He said one man got up so early every morning, went to work, it was dark. And then by the time he got home, it was dark, and his son was asleep. And then one day, the son was up, and he grew up, and then one day, father comes home, and the boy turns to his mother and says, "Who's this man?" Well, who's this man? Oh, that's your father. But because of work, he has to get up so early. You never saw him. You never saw him. So Krishna's not in a situation like that, like telling all the devotees, I got to go to work. I got to maintain the modes of material nature. I got to keep things going. It's not like that at all. It's just that's all taken care of, and he just wants to spend time with his devotees, like that, reciprocating with their love and affection. So. I wanted to read 3 or 4 verses here, and the last verse has to do with the last line of this. Also a lot of things I'd like to bring up, but this is, it says Krishna comes to this material world for his devotees. There's a few verses in the prayers of Queen Kunti where she's addressing, why does Kechit? Some people say Krishna comes for this reason, that reason. So there's a few verses there. I'll just read just the English. So there's like 3, 4 verses. You know, why does Krishna come to this material world? So the first one, this is the 8th chapter of the 1st canto. Text 32 is the first of these. Kechit ahur ajam jatam. So some say that the unborn has taken birth for the glorification of the great pious king. And others say that you took birth to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. Remember that? Talking about that this morning? Why is that example given? Is sandalwood trees can grow anywhere, but you'll find them, they're known for the Malaya hills in India or Malaysia. So Krishna can appear anywhere, but he appears where? In his devotees' families. With his devotees. So others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly you are unborn, yet you took your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. Some other reasons. Others say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea was much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble. And yet others say that you appeared in order to renovate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshiping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. And this is the one, Shrinvanti Gayanti Gunanti Bhikshanasya. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So Krishna appears in this material world, and there's so many different incarnations and pastimes. So the devotee is very pleasing to the devotees. It conquers their mind, because the mind, we don't really have time, I was going to go through the story. Bhaja Huremana, Sri Nandanandana, is the devotee speaking to his mind. Do you ever talk to your mind? Or is your mind always just telling you what to do? That's a good question. Do you tell your mind what to do? Or does your mind tell you what to do? Both, yeah, I know. We're going back and forth. I'm like you. We're in the same boat. Okay. But this song is saying, my dear mind, please worship the lotus feet, Sri Nandanandana, like that. Worship Krishna. You got a rare human body, and use this by associating with saintly persons, and you will cross over this vast ocean of material existence. And then it starts talking about, the mind is attracted to this material world, but what's the real nature of this material world? That's the next few verses, about the suffering in this material world. Day and night I remain sleepless, suffering from heat and cold. I have vainly served wicked masters for what? Chapala sukha labalajire, just some flickering happiness. But we have all these things our mind is attached to. Edana yobana puta parijana. Right? Our wealth, our family, our friends, our society, friendship, society, and love. But all of these are nothing. There's really nothing there. Yeah, just like drops of water. And it says they're very, very temporary. There's kamala jala jivana talamala. Just like a lotus leaf is very glossy, and you have a little drop of water on it, a little movement of the water, gone. So and actually it's going at every moment. Has anyone here stopped the passing of time? I think Polar Kodak used to have one of their lines was like that. You take a picture, it's like stopping time or capturing time. You're capturing those moments. You didn't capture the moments, they're gone. That was it. Capture the moment. You don't capture it. It's gone. You took a picture, but it's gone. You can't get it back for all the money in the world, right? All the money that you can't. There's no way in the world. You didn't capture it at all. It's an illusion. Well, I took a picture of it. So what? It's gone. Like that. It's like having $100. You take a picture of it, then someone takes your $100. Well, I got a picture of it. No, $100 is gone. It's gone. Well, I got a picture of it. It doesn't matter. Go to try to buy something with the picture. Okay, so you take a picture. Oh, I look like this. I look like that. It's gone. It's gone, and it's going very quickly. So, at the very end, though, he says, my dear mind, just try to understand the nature of this material world. Therefore, you should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the process of devotional service, hearing and chanting. So, that's why Krishna comes in this material world, to capture our minds, like that. Madan Mohan, like that. He's so beautiful, the transcendental Cupid, to capture our minds, to attract our minds away from all this plan making in the material world, which will result in defeat. We can always go through that parabhava and the pavarga, apavarga. Prabhupada always breaks down the Sanskrit in there. Defeat. We'll all be defeated. The time element defeats us all. So Krishna is very, very kind. Transcendental form, Murtim, and he comes to this material world to capture our minds and give a pleasure to our hearts. Devotees, their hearts are filled with great pleasure when they're hearing the wonderful pastimes of the Lord and serving the Lord. So we should end here because of the time. Are there any questions or comments on this verse from the Bhagavatam?
Hare Krishna. I know it's important to get the right association with the sadhu, and my question is sometimes it's important to get the right association to get the mercy, and it's also important to endeavor yourself. And my question is how can you tell if your endeavor is good enough? Because sometimes when you practice sadhana, you feel like you could always do better, you know. So how can you tell if what you do in your practice is enough for spiritual advancement?
You're pleasing your spiritual master, you're pleasing the Vaishnavas, and you're feeling happy and satisfied. You can never do enough. Good, better, best, never let it rest. Your good is better and your better is best. Where did that come from? Gunagraj Maharaj's mother taught him that. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Your good is better and your better is best. So we can never do enough, right? We can never do enough for Krishna in our service, and it always gets better and better. So how do you know? Like I said, the devotees, the spiritual master, are pleased with your activities, and you feel very happy and satisfied. Like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said, the brahmacharis at night, if you're working so hard during the day, as soon as their head hits the pillow, sound asleep, and they wake up like a lion. Not like, don't wake me up, get away from me, I want 10 more minutes. Not that kind of a lion. What does that mean? They wake up like a lion.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Another day of devotional service. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, because you're enlivened. So that's just like, how do you know breakfast is in a little while? How will you know that you've had enough?
You feel full.
You feel, well, there's three things, right, in that verse? Nourished, full.
Pushti, satisfaction. Pushti, nourishment. Satisfy anagasam, you different after the food.
Yeah. So that's how you feel it. Is that a good enough answer? We want more? No, seriously.
Well, practically speaking, it's really very difficult to remain on the same enthusiastic and remain steady and always please the devotees. It's very difficult. So, from the practical point of view, how can you feel like that? Like you have ups and downs and challenges in spiritual life.
No, that's understood. We have ups and downs in spiritual life in every single endeavor. Just like everyone has a good day and a bad day. Remember yesterday I was asking about, the backup. And someone told me all the devotee is supposed to do is not having a good day. So they didn't show up. And then that's what I was told. He was having a good day. Okay, so the point is, good day, bad day, feel like it, don't feel like it, hard, difficult, the dualities. You just keep pushing through. What other answer could there be? Like that, so material world. What other answer could there be in every endeavor? You just keep going on and on. That's determination in the mode of goodness, working in the mode of goodness, that despite the challenges, and challenges are good, that's what make us strong. If it was all easy, and it's not that you become a pure devotee, then there's no more struggle. Prabhupada struggled very, very hard to spread the Krishna consciousness, because as you become more and more stronger and advanced, then your responsibilities increase to make not just yourself, but other people, and you could say to make the community, to make Pacific Beach, to make San Diego, California, the world, the planet, the Krishna conscious. And that means you are struggling. It's a struggle. Just like if you lived in Lanka and you wanted to build a Ram temple, how would that go over? Not good.
Yeah.
I'm talking about pre-war, okay, not post-war. Pre-war, if you lived in Lanka and said, I'm going to build a Ram temple here, it's going to be a struggle because you're living in Lanka, right? So the material world means karshati, prakriti stani karshati. It's always a struggle. But devotees are enthused and enlivened by that struggle, and you have to be intelligent, not to bite off more than you can chew, as they say. But that's the glory. The glory is every single day you just do the best you possibly can do. What more can be asked of you or anyone else? We get in trouble when we do less than we could do. That's the problem. You do the best you possibly can do every single day, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Like that. What do you think?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
You want to comment on that?
Yeah, sometimes it seems that devotees are wanting like an external confirmation. Like, for example, let's say you have a teacher, they're teaching you harmonium, and you're taking your classes, and there's a relationship there. And then the teacher's saying, you're not doing too good, like it didn't seem like you're practicing. And there's some type of sense that, hey, you're not doing well, or hey, you're doing well, like, keep it up, or things like that. So it seems that sometimes this, what I could sense is that sometimes brahmacharis may be feeling like, am I like doing okay? It's like, because if they do something that's just out and out wrong, then yes, they're going to get some, say, flack for it. But they're wondering if they're doing well, because sometimes it's just not said. Like, sometimes when you're doing well, it's just, that saying, right? When you cook a good feast, sometimes people may say, oh, it was really good, but you do something wrong, then they'll say it immediately.
Everyone hears about it.
So wanting some like external. So if a person's not getting that, what are they to do? That external confirmation of they don't, am I doing well?
That's a very good question, and what it brings up is sadhu sangha. In the association of devotees, you're supposed to be making friendships with devotees, and of course there's different kinds of friendships. Those who are more senior to you on the same level, or those who are not as advanced, and you have different types of relationships. And in those relationships, there's supposed to be an exchange, a closeness, and two of the symptoms of loving exchange is revealing one's mind and confidence, and inquiring confidentially. So if we're not hearing from our friends in devotional service, or hearing from our authorities, if we don't have any authorities, we're in a difficult situation, very difficult situation. So that's true. In that association, there should be all these different relationships, and if they're not there, it makes it difficult. Just like you give the example of a teacher. If you go in the classroom and there's no teacher ever, how will you ever know you're doing the right thing? No one corrects your paper, no one, right? So yes, we have to make sure that devotees have close association. You have to build those close associations. I remember, I think it was Gunagrai Maharaj or someone like that, something years ago, was saying, you have to have those relationships, and you have to, it might have been Bhadri Maharaj, he'd call savas, devotees on, God brothers on the same level, or somewhere. Actually, Gunagrai Maharaj once told me the reason he moved to Texas and worked under Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who sent him to Korea to open a temple. That was a whole, remember that? He went to Korea for a few years, like him and another devotee, to Korea. They had to grow their hair out and go to sign into a Korean school of language and undercover, and it was pretty far out. But the reason he did, he said he knew he had to take shelter of a more advanced God brother to really help him advance in Krishna consciousness and monitor his Krishna consciousness. And he felt that, by having that close relationship and being monitored, he would know for sure that he's doing the right thing and pleasing Prabhupada. So that's one example.
Yeah, what came into my mind was that an ashram temple of Krishna consciousness, it really runs on the smooth flow of authority. Krishna to the Guru. In Prabhupada's time, Prabhupada is the authority, but he delegated to the GBC, the temple presidents. And we learned from Srila Prabhupada how to, the managers were meant to learn from Srila Prabhupada how to draw out the best from the devotees, how to encourage them in their advancement in devotional service. And one thing that Prabhupada did so expertly was to reciprocate with his devotees when they did something wonderful. Then he smiled, he encouraged them, and like that. And that's true on a more micro level too. That if you want to maintain and grow a unit of Krishna consciousness, then the whole thing depends on, because it's not a money exchange. The whole thing depends on maintaining the enthusiasm of the devotees in general, and that means that yes, you correct them in such a way. We had this wonderful experience with Kalakanta, how to react if someone hasn't cleaned the toilet. Say, what happened? You didn't clean the toilet? I said, no. What's happening with the toilet? In other words, the kind of questions. He gave a whole class, and Maharaj was sitting here, and he said, "Oh, news you can use." It's very practical. So I would say that is unless if someone does something nice in their devotional service, then the authorities should have a way of expressing approval. And that's feeling that, yes, that's coming from Prabhupada, that's coming from Krishna, because they're doing something correct. And therefore, that will be a encouragement in their devotional service. So we all depend on each other, that we're all doing our devotional service, and that includes the leaders, that they're doing it. So I think maybe that's what, Dimitri was getting at, is that you need to get some, I try to give you as much encouragement as possible, Prabhu. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, that's my take.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one quick comment. I don't know if it came from Prabhupada, but aren't we supposed to have the mindset that our service is always inadequate and we should always improve on it? Always better service?
Yeah.
Never satisfied with what we do?
But we shouldn't be discouraged.
No.
But we should always know that I can always improve the quantity or quality of my service, because the soul is eternal and unlimited. Krishna is always increasing, and the soul is always, that's the nature of spirit. So we can always increase quantity or quality, for sure. Everyone in the spiritual world, they're all pure devotees, but they're increasing the quality and quantity of their devotional service at all times. Isn't that amazing?
It is inconceivable.
Inconceivable, mystical, but that's what's going on.
You get it in active devotion. The pastimes are perfect.
They're perfect in Dwarka. Everything is perfect. But they're more perfect in Mathura. And they're actually most perfect in Vrindavan. Unique and very unique. We're taught in grade school, but in the spiritual world, it can be unique and very unique.
Right. So that's Krishna consciousness. Anything else? So we can end here. Zoom. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.